it's not man-made. It's not, I didn't make it up and put different things. I was just breathing into this area, trying to do my own orthodontics for about a week, and it was going in my brain, and then it was starting to be a little bit painful. I just did it quieter and softer and quieter, and it blinding flash of light came through. My teeth almost felt like they were coming out of my sockets. The energy poured into my jaw, and it just started. My lips got pulled together, the tongue got pulled to the roof of my mouth. Very gently, my jaw started moving like that, and I could feel it moving through my face, through my brain, through my body, and I was like, wow, 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 what is this? What has happened there? And so I didn't like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It was literally that kind of archetypal God's finger sticking on my head, do this type thing. You've been watching my videos then?
Yes, and I've been trying like some of the breathing practices, because I was a big fan of holotropic breathing. I had the most amazing, like profound experience doing it. And then I saw holographic breathing and I was like, wow, okay, what's this? And because it really got me into the whole breathing thing. And then I listened to your story about, you know, you recovered from Lyme disease by just you went home and you're going to die anyway, so you just sat there and you didn't eat or drink water even for like 20 days, or and then
that's a different thing. That's a different thing. I didn't start dry fasting until recently, the last 3 years. I just sat. I knew the disease had got me. I could do nothing to beat it, and so I wanted to know what it was. I wanted to investigate what the disease was. So I just lay on my bed and let it take me, and it was like dying. And it was just like, it was pain, the pain of the disease, but that turned into the experience of death. It just went through wave after wave after wave of death, really. It was the waves of death. And I came out the other side, and there was no pain. I felt amazing. There were these beings there, just big, quiet beings. And I didn't die. I came back, and I didn't go on a fast then, but my Kundalini rose. I was just off my head for about 2 months. And then the holographic breathing came through. And then it was, I didn't put a lot together, and and this holographic breathing was amazing. I was thinking, wow, this is amazing. And later, a friend said to me, she said, you know, when you were off your head, going bananas for 2 months with your Kundalini, she said, I think that was the holographic breathing coming through. And then I put it all together, the spiritual event, the Kundalini, and then the holographic breathing just start initiating, just a blinding flash of light, and it started.
Oh, wow, okay. Right, yeah. Great. Because I mean, obviously, I've got a lot of questions here, but I'll save it for when we're doing it properly on the podcast, because I don't want to waste the good one here.
Yeah.
But otherwise, how you been? Like, how's things going your side? Have you, like, how's your channel doing? How's your life been?
Well, I'm on a mission, obviously. I do a lot for free because I realized, you know, from the beginning, it was me that brought it through, even though it seems so simple. Once you've got it, it's like, wow, of course. But it's counterintuitive. And I put it out in all the popular magazines, and people wanted to write that. And not one person said that they were already doing it. People have come out and said, oh, I describe it. They say, yeah, I do that. And then I teach them. I was like, oh, no, that is something totally new. So I thought, well, this hasn't been done before. It hasn't been done for thousands of years or whatever. It'll seem to be. There's nobody teaching it. So the job is down to me to make a to ground it, so that because I think it should be like craniosacral therapy, or, you know, as popular as the major breathwork. I think everybody should know about it and have access to it. So, you know, I have to make a living, obviously, and I do make a living, but I just do a huge amount for free. I mean, there's hundreds, you know, I think 600 or 700 YouTube videos I've put out, all with information, most with meditations, and I'm grateful that a certain amount of people want to take it much deeper and come to the practitioner training so they can be a practitioner, and come to the advanced webinars so they can learn the in-depth kind of tantric, Kundalini, evolutionary side of it, because there is a lot of breath work around, but I haven't actually come across anything that is spiritual other than the kind of more traditional breath work, where you're not doing connective breath work, you're not doing this or that, you're just watching your breath in silence. And holographic breathing is like that. You're just breathing natural, but this power comes through it, and this transformational force comes through it, and I feel myself divinely guided. I feel the different channels coming in and talking to me and talking through me and helping me with everything. So I find it a truly spiritual, evolutionary journey, and that it is bringing something new to the earth. And a lot of the traditional people now, you know, I've got yoga teachers who are like some of the old, you know, I've got one yoga teacher, she'd been a teacher for 50 years. I've got a lot of really good yoga teachers teach it in their yoga classes instead of the normal pranayama, because it fits so well with yoga. And Tai Chi and Qi Kung practitioners who teach, because it fits in. It's not man-made. It's not, I didn't make it up and put different things. I was just breathing into this area, trying to do my own orthodontics for about a week, and it was going in my brain, and then it was starting to be a little bit painful. I just did it quieter and softer and quieter, and a blinding flash of light came through. My teeth almost felt like they were coming out of my sockets. The energy poured into my jaw, and it just started. My lips got pulled together, the tongue got pulled to the roof of the mouth. Very gently, my jaw started moving like that, and I could feel it moving through my face, through my brain, through my body, and I was like, wow, 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 what is this? What has happened there? And so I didn't like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It was literally that kind of archetypal God's finger sticking on my head, do this type thing. And when people learn it, even though they don't realize it, I feel it as it starts in people. It's like an initiation, and they wouldn't have learnt it by trying to do this or trying to do that. But it fits exactly with the breath. All the muscles of the breath do that motion. The diaphragm drops, this all drops. If the jaw wasn't set, the jaw would drop. And because the lips are closed and because the tongue's on the roof of the mouth, as that drops, it produces this suckling type motion, and that spreads through the whole face, through the brain, through the cranium and the whole body. And this whole new healing dynamics just go. They just take off. They just come to light. So
it's so funny. Just you speaking about it, I'm feeling this in my face. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, just talking about it, I can feel something. I don't know if it's like psychosomatic, but if it's energy. It's
because I'm talking about a real thing. It's not a manufactured thing. It came to me because it didn't just God gave it to me or whatever. It was already in my cells, ready to start, and it just initiated it, and it just started, and it never stopped for me. I'm always doing holographic breathing, even in my sleep. I wake up and I've been doing holographic breathing, and the spirits and guides have been talking to me and showing me things. I do it in my sleep, all from the very beginning.
Wow. So and then your Kundalini experience, how did you get that subsided? Or did it just go by itself? Well, I mean,
it just went, came down slowly by itself. And then about 12 years ago, it just activated and never stopped. I went past that point of insanity, and I've been insane ever since. My mind has just been unraveling. So some people go to a loony bin. You know, it can happen different ways. It can happen as a spiritually activated thing where you've been a meditator and you've built up to it. So you have the wherewithal to say, well, this is my mind unfolding. Be very difficult for someone without that grounding. That's why a lot of people, you know, a lot of people in mental institutions, they're just very sensitive. And it can happen to them through trauma. So it's very hard to deal with. Or drugs. I mean, drugs are, that's why I don't agree with all of the druggy ways of doing things, because it's taking you somewhere before you're really ready for it a lot of the time. I mean, it may be okay for some people, but I know a lot of people have been very upset by it. But that started 12 years ago, and that never stopped. It was terrifying, the most terrifying thing, and ongoing. It never stops. It never subsides. All you can do is either kill yourself, go to put yourself in a loony bin, get put on drugs, or just sit with it and meditate and work with it. And that's what I did. And now I'm in that permanent place. My mind is continually unraveling. I'm not in my, you know, I'm not the mind anymore. Before that point, even though people say, oh, don't be your mind, don't do this, don't, they are their mind. They are enamored with their mind. You never really come out of that until you drop back and you watch your mind unraveling. And that is what happens in a Kundalini awakening. A very real thing, very terrifying. Some people, they say they just find it, oh, that was nice. Not for me.
No, sure. Yeah, no, because I just interviewed, or me and Lee, my co-host, we interviewed a guy called Peter Nielsen, and he had a spontaneous Kundalini experience. It's actually going to be released this Tuesday coming. And yeah, he also went through, because he didn't even know what it was really. He was just going to these yoga classes, and the next minute this thing happened. And then he went to the yoga teachers because he kind of like figured it out after going to the doctor. The doctor didn't know what was going on with him and actually didn't believe him. Then he went back to the yoga teachers, and the yoga teachers were actually like kind of jealous of him, and they couldn't help him. And they said, you must go ground, and you got to put your feet in the earth. And then he went and he put his feet in the earth, and he was sitting there for like, you know, half an hour with his feet in the earth, and like it wasn't helping. He couldn't sleep because there's all these images going through his mind the whole time. He had to put a lamp. He took the desk lamp and he would shine it in his face at nighttime so he could actually sleep. So the images couldn't bother him. I mean, he went through hell.
I didn't sleep for about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And it is the most terrifying. Losing your mind is about the most terrible. It's worse than death. And this energy just started. I mean, the way it started for me, because I was healing Lyme disease. I mean, it was work all the time. Before. I mean, the first time it happened to me, I mean, I've always been that way, and there's a bit of madness in my family anyway. And I was never very good at taking drugs. When it's, you know, I did take, some drugs. But, you know, where everybody's smoking dope and is happy, I was just paranoid out of my brain. And I was in this squat in South London. It was pretty depressing, really. And I was lying on my bed, having had some very strong dope, and I was just paranoid out of my head. And I thought, there must be a way out of this paranoia. And somehow I dropped back. So I was viewing myself, right? So I wasn't in the paranoia. Oh, wow. And this rush of energy went up through my spine, and I could see my whole brain just lit. It sounded like when a light bulb pops, it was like pop, this bright light went off, and I could see all the cranial fluid. I just said, like, oh, there goes another million brain cells. I've just killed more brain cells. And then there's another rush, and pop, oh, more brain cells dead. I'm getting brain damage. And then 2 weeks later, I was in my first meditation class. You know, doing massage and healing before that, but then after that point, it all became much more real. That was back kind of in the mid-70s, really. So that was always there for me, and that's always been a strong part of my journey, is the Kundalini rising and the transformation of the brain. And people say, oh, you be in the heart, don't be in the intellect. You cannot transform, you cannot evolve past a certain point until you address the intellect and brain. And the brain is the anatomy of the intellect and the mind. And it's not like you have to, you know, people say, oh, well, I'm going to change these thoughts and I'm going to change these behaviors. And for me, that's just ridiculous. It's just more mind. The transformation of it isn't changing it. The transformation of it is as the Kundalini rises up the spine, and as it starts going through the brain, you can no longer be there as a being. You can no longer be viewing from the intellect. As the energy goes through it, there's an automatic thing where you have to sit back. You can no longer be in it. You can't get this gestalt of being there and letting the energy go through. The only way is that you sit back a bit, and you're not transforming the mind. You're not trying to make it better. You're not trying to change the intellect. This is ridiculous. This is the intellect trying to change the intellect, or just trying to make a better life for you. It's not, you're not evolving. You're just saying, well, I'm going to make more money, or I'm not going to be hurt so much, or I'm not, it's self-orientated. At a certain point, you are the problem in the way. And as you sit back, you are no longer the mind. You are watching, and it's like this extra room opens up. You think, I've gone mad. I've got an extra room on my head that I never knew about. And you can feel the energy going through it, and you can feel the manifestation of the mind. So you're not transforming the mind. The mind is there to protect you. You're viewing the energy, matrices, and manifestation of the mind. And automatically, when you do that, you get just a massive connection to the higher self and the beyond. And as far as I'm concerned, you cannot channel, you can channel, but not strongly. You cannot transform strongly until that experience. And when you get that experience, when you address the mind, and again, it's not, oh, I'm going to change the mind, I'm going to get a new mind, I'm not going to do this. It's just, you just view it. You just become a viewer of it rather than being it. End of story. Everything that's there is okay. You are just not it anymore. Oh, and it does feel like you've gone mad, because suddenly there's two of you. There's this person that you used to be, that is the mind, and now there's this new person that's viewing the mind. Think, I've gone schizophrenic. I'm viewing myself. So, it is terrifying when this energy starts going through your brain, and you think, if I let that happen, I'm just going to go mad and I'm going to be crawling in the street naked, talking tongues, and they're going to take me away and they're going to dose me up with drugs, and I'm never going to get out of mental hospital. So there's this total, absolute, beyond anything terror. And it's more than that. It's the last, I work a lot with the organs, and the last organs it goes through on transforming and going through the brain is the adrenals, and the adrenals are the organ that as the energy goes through, what the adrenals do is they just pick up terror. You know, it's fight and fear and fight and fear of whatever. And that terror, you don't clear the adrenals by trying to be relaxed or trying to calm yourself down. You let the energy run through them, and this unbelievable panic attack terror starts running through you as the adrenals, and that will run and run and it will run until you process it, and then suddenly you're relaxed, but in a whole new way. And they, for me, are the last organ the energy goes through before it starts transforming the brain. So when your Kundalini goes through the brain, you've got the fit terror of going mad and what the hell's happened to me, and this built up terror from manifestation to manifestation for lifetimes and lifetimes, crystalline in your adrenals that just goes off. So you've got this terrible panic attack fear, and it is terrifying. For me, absolutely terrifying. Now, I may be wrong. Maybe I just had some terrible nervous breakdown and never got better. But I have moved along spiritually in a way that I can't even describe to people. In my classes, the energy comes through, not even on the same level as it was before. So, and it's not easy. People, oh yeah, you get enlightened. And I'm not saying I'm enlightened. I get angry, I get upset, all sorts of stuff goes on for me. But people think, oh, well, that'll be nice once that's happened. No, it just gets harder. I mean, this whole bit of life will get better as you evolve. It's just rubbish, really. It might do for a while, kind of working on yourself. Well, I'm going to make this better. I'm going to have better health. I'm going to have a better house. I'm going to be relaxed. I'm going to be like a guru. And then you go mad. And that madness is there. There you go. That's the evolution you were looking for. And Osho, my first teacher when I was in India in the 70s, after that Kundalini awakening, I went to India. And I was in the Osho commune in Pune in the 70s. And and it never seemed fair. He would describe that. He'd say, yeah, you work on yourself for a long time and you process this and you process that. And at a certain point, it starts going through your head. And then you process. A lot of people just look like they've gone insane, and you just process every type of insanity there is. And then when you come out the other side, then you've processed that, then you start on moving on to different levels. And it really seemed unfair that you work with yourself to get rid of all your fears and to address this and to be able to talk to people and to deal with your past, and then you go mad. It didn't seem at all fair. But this isn't a path for the weak. This is, I remember my mother's just died. She was quite she was a very hard person, very aggressive person, and put me down a lot. And, I've been a meditator all my life. And I remember saying to her, would you ever think of meditating? She said, no, that's just for weak people. So there is this view that you're wishy-washy if you're on a meditative path, or that's for the flower people, or that, this and that. I know nothing more terrifying or hard than a true on the path meditating. It's like you are addressing every fear. You are going mad in every possible way. You are destroying everything you consider to be you.
So What is the benefit of it? Because it sounds like it's just been a nightmare.
Um, the benefits, your body gets better. You are genuinely on a spiritual path. You are no longer the mind. It might be terrifying, but I mean, Osho would say, he said, well, you know, because people got enlightened there, and they would say, well, this feels terrible, but you're no longer in prison. I would never go back to how I was before. You're no longer in prison. You're no longer imprisoned by the mind. But it's what I'm saying. It's not an easy journey. And I'm not saying enlightened.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
enlightened, but I'm not imprisoned by the mind how I used to be. I'm not that person anymore. It's a quantitative.
So like your fears and your angers don't control you. Like
Yeah, well,
you still
occasionally.
have fear in life of certain things.
Yeah, everything changes after that point. Everything changes. And in some ways, it's much, much better. You just, you know, you are a different type of person. I'm sure as you move forward, I think that this is it's not enlightenment, but it is a level of awakening. And Osho would, I don't know if it's true, but he would say once that opens, once the third eye opens, then when you're reborn, you are reborn with it open. Before that point, you have to, you know, each lifetime you have to process a lot of stuff. But when it goes through the mind and you're viewing the mind and all those centers open, then when you come back, you're born at that level. And I think it just gets easier to be in that state, the same way as it was absolutely terrifying for the first year. Now it's like, well, this is just quite easy and I enjoy it. I that's what I look for now, is when I'm meditating, is just to get to that point where the energy is just really releasing through my brain. And as it's doing that, I can feel all of the bits of my body that have never been able to heal starting to get better, starting to resolve, and feeling the different karma of it releasing. You know how people talk, it just seems to go round and round and round in circles, and they're addressing the same thing over and over again in different ways. When it goes through the mind, it's no longer like that. You feel it genuinely healing. You feel your vertebrae coming into alignment. It's scary because it's killing you, but it is healing you. It is genuinely healing you. So maybe I've overdone the terror part of it, but you know, you are in a meditative space, but you're very sensitive at the same time. You can't protect yourself from people in the same way as you could. It's hard to have a lot of like, you know, going to parties and socializing, because you do become very sensitive and you have to deal with the energies around you. It's very hard having someone who's aggressive around you and different ways, because you're aware of everybody's energies all of the time. So you don't become a recluse, but you spend more time on your own, and like you are on a new path, or I have been since that point. I've been on a new path. Terrifying. Will I end up in a loony bin for a long time? Well, no, I don't seem to be in a loony bin, and I seem to be okay, and it seems to be getting easier, but I haven't gone back to who I was before. This unfold, you just get used to this new space, and I encourage it now. I encourage that energy through my brain, because I want to get better. You know, I've had to heal Lyme disease. It's really quite a deep, where we started. You know, the dry fasting bit is what people use for healing Lyme disease.
Oh, okay. Well, I look forward to getting more of that into the interview. as I say, I mean, like, I don't want you to burn all your energy on these questions now, and then you got to
No.
repeat it for
Yeah,
the
I
other
mean,
podcast.
we can do different. I got this. So, that is, I wasn't expecting to talk about that at all, because what I was more expecting is what I'm more working with at the minute is the holographics and fractal relationships in holographic breathing. I was more expecting that I would be speaking to you and you hadn't tried holographic breathing. You would just, or done much meditation. You would just think, oh, that looks interesting, let's try that. But actually, you've done a lot of breath work and you have done holographic breathing. And I
Yes.
was, but the quite an interesting topic at the minute is the fractal and holographic relationships in holographic breathing. And I could, we could talk about that, and I could
Yes, that sounds a
teach you
good
that
idea.
as a way of how to govern the emotional upset that's coming up in you, how to transform that and let that change levels so it doesn't just stay on an emotional level.
Okay, that sounds amazing. I'd love it.
And just as a question, because you've done connective breath work and you've done holotropic breathing, are you doing holographic breathing with connective breath?
No.
No, you're not. Okay,
Yeah, like at the same time, you mean? Like what?
Yeah,
like,
no, yeah, just doing holographic breathing and not having gaps.
oh, geez, you're gonna have to show me what you mean. Like,
Well, to do connective breath work, you don't have any spaces between the breaths.
okay, like, cause I do this one breath work where it's like it's almost like a Wim Hof, like it's just
Yeah,
and then breathe out, hold, breathe in, hold.
I thought holotropic breathing was connective breath work.
Oh, yeah, that was just that. Well, I mean, I'm a bit confused with the connective breathing, but I just when I do holotropic breathing, it's like hyperventilating for an hour.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think, yeah. See, that's fast connective breath work. You can do slower breath work where it's just breathing in. You don't pause, then you breathe out. You don't pause, and so you're continually either breathing in and out, and that leads into a high.
okay, is that what you mean
A
by
high.
not connective?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
There's no spaces in the breath, and what you showed was that. And for me, we work a lot with the spaces, and if you don't do the space, if you just there's no space in that fast breath. It's not like I'm breathing with my mouth, because that we obviously don't do that in holographic breathing, but breathe in and wait, breathe out and wait, breathe in and wait, breathe out and wait. That's how you breathe normally. There's these natural spaces in the breath, and nearly the whole of the breath works around our connective breath in one form or another. And I'm not knocking that, and people enjoy that. But for me, if you don't have the spaces, you are focusing your energy into the emotional center of your body. For me, on the out breath, your energy, on the space at the end of the out breath, your energy is releasing down into the earth. And then in the space at the end of the in breath, the energy is releasing from the center, emotional center up through the mind and to the higher self. So if you get into a habit of not having spaces in the breath, then for me, I may be wrong, it's how it affects me, then your energy is much more focused into your emotional body, and you don't have the automatic responses, because it's a learned pattern of letting it release through the mind to the higher self and letting it release through the abdomen and legs to the earth. So you end up in this hyper emotional place, and you can process your emotions there. But naturally, if you just breathe with the spaces, they would integrate and balance with the mind and the higher self and the abdomen and the earth. So you could try holographic breathing. Well, if we do a meditation and I teach you the fractal nature and holographic nature of it, then automatically you'll be taken, because that will involve the earth and the higher self and how to work properly through the face. It will naturally balance through the more grounded and higher, so you won't get held just watching that emotion and watching that emotion. It will go more through your body, more connect to the earth. It will go more up to the higher self. So dissipating that build up, it's not just building up in one area so much. So you won't have to process it in the same, but also you'll start understanding. And because I just haven't taught it before, you know, the name is holographic breathing, and people come up, a lot of people mock not a lot, some people have come up and mocked holographic breathing. Oh, why'd you call that? Are we going to just be light, or a shined light and an invisible image? That isn't what holographic is. I mean, fractals, they are these patterns that just go on into infinity, like a sunflower, or the universe, or it's this unfolding of nature. You get one unit and it unfolds and it unfolds and that's
like the picture behind you, basically.
Yeah, that's fractal relationships growing out. And so a fractal is an organism that multiplies infinitely, making these patterns. And the holographic relationship is that every fraction of an image or an object has the information, all of the information of the whole object. So every cell in our body has the information of everything through our whole body, because the DNA is in that cell. So there's the information of the whole. So we work with fractal and the holographic relationships in holographic breathing. So I had thought that might be a good topic. There are loads of topics. This is used for birth. People use holographic breathing for birth and have pain-free births. The advanced webinars are the Kundalini and Tantric side of holographic breathing. I explain a whole new vision of the cranial sea, which I teach to craniosacral therapy schools, and because they just have a vision of the cranial fluid, or that's what I was taught when I did my cranial trainings, whereas how I see it and how I healed the Lyme disease was that all of the fluids in the brain, in the central nervous, and how they move, they're all, I called it the cranial sea, because the interstitial fluid of the brain and the cranial fluid, they're exactly the same thing. The way it is taught in the anatomy, it's just a theory and it's ridiculous. And if you put it all together as a cranial sea, and I teach it in how it works, and obviously how it works, you end up with a whole new vision. You end up with 5 times the amount of fluid, and you just automatically start evolving when you have that image. The image of it at the minute kind of designed to stop people evolving. So, and I'm teaching that in cranial, I'm teaching it on a cranial platform, just starting in a few weeks' time, so that hopefully craniosacral therapists will take on actually a better image. For me, it's like one of these conspiracy theories where something's been put there, like the blood-brain barrier. This is a view, this is an image that stops people evolving, because they get this image that there's this barrier around their brain, and it's completely the other way around. It's not around your brain, it's actually around every capillary in your brain, and it's not a barrier, it's a filter creating this amazing cranial sea. So that image of the blood-brain barrier, everyone has heard that, and that closes people down. The image of the myelin sheath is like this dry fiber rubber. It's rubbish. It's cranial sea in spirals, beautiful spiraling geometry. And when you have these visions of it, then you can heal your nervous system, you can heal your brain, and your brain starts to let go. That's when my last Kundalini started. Was I was painting these pictures, because I had this image, so I was painting the pictures for the new anatomy of it. And these aren't just something I've made up. This is accurate anatomy. I just describe it. I just put it together in a way that it makes sense. And because the cranial seed doesn't hold the mind, I was doing it and I was just going into transcendental spaces. But then in the last meditation, I included the neurons in it, which are the anatomy of the mind. So suddenly I went from this completely no mind environment to the mind, which the neurons are. They are the manifestation, the quality of your mind. And suddenly I was viewing myself. Oh my God. And this energy rose up through my spine, through my brain. And I was watching myself. Oh, fuck. I've ruined myself as this energy just, I've gone mad. This isn't meant to be happening. The energy isn't meant to be doing that. I'm going to go insane. I shouldn't be watching my own head. I need to get grounded and everything else. It just started in that instant when I moved. And that never stopped. And that happened. You know, there was this whole thing, the 2012
yes, so the Mayan calendar ended.
And I just said, I said, oh, the Mayan calendar is going to end and everything's going to finish. And I said, no, they'll just get a new calendar, don't worry. But that experience started on the 12th of the 12th, and then it peaked on the 21st. And I was just sitting on top of Ivinghoe Beacon, just out in the wilds, because I was living in a van out in the wilds, with this energy pouring up through the top of my head, right out into the universe. Oh my God, how do I stop this? It was just driving through me. And I thought, if this carries on for any longer, I've ruined everything. I lost my money. I lost my home. I lost my health with the Lyme disease. Now I've gone insane. I'm going to kill myself. Geez. And then later I thought, no, I'm not going to kill myself. That won't mend anything. I'm just going to spend the rest of my life getting to a point where I can die sane, where I can die not insane. And that didn't happen. I just stayed insane, but I'm happy with being insane.
That's such an amazing story. I've got to run now because I was supposed to be at a friend's house.
Sorry to keep you so long.
No. It was wonderful. I love it. And I just, I hope we can get all of this back in the podcast when we do it. But I think the podcast, I'd love to start off firstly. Well, I'd love to obviously introduce holographic breathing. But I would like to hear your story first of how you got to that point of holographic breathing. Then we can talk about holographic breathing, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. But we'd love to hear your whole story of how you started. And I mean, you'll probably go through all of this again, which will be wonderful.
I don't mind. You know, there's so much of it and so much more than this. I can't stop talking. And if you want to do more than one, I'm really happy. You know, I've looked on your website. You're a professional. You'll do it nicely. And as long as you're okay that we do it on Zoom, because each one, it'll have your podcast, but I also want to put it out on YouTube. So I can make my own copy and put it out on YouTube, because I really want to build up my channel.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it. Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be a collaboration.
Yeah. And I'm sure fantastic. I can learn a lot from you. You know, you are a professional filmmaker. I think you've got, you know, films that I've noticed them all. They've got not like Hollywood, but the kind of different festival kind of first this and first that. So
thank you.
I'm sure I can learn a lot from you. So that would be really great.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Martin.
I hope I haven't gone.
No. And you know what's so funny, Martin? While I've been sitting here, I've been having these like sensations in my body. I don't know if it's like a psychosomatic thing or while you're talking, I'm like, but it's like I'm feeling like this this wonderful feeling through my head and my back and my like it's almost like I'm having like a mini Kundalini experience myself. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. I've never
It
had it
is a
before.
real
Speaking
thing.
to
That's why
like
it's
and they're
difficult.
speaking to you. I don't know what it is. It's like am I imagining it so much that it's happening to me, or is it just your energy rubbing off on me? I don't know. So it's very strange, but it's a wonderful feeling.
It's the truth. That is the thing. When somebody just genuinely talks the truth about something, we're holographic. I've got all the same organs. You've got all the same organs. We resonate in the same way. I talk about an experience. You have that experience in you somewhere. That experience starts resonating in you. As long as it's
Yeah, and I can even
truthful.
feel it in my cheeks here. I can feel it in my like it's weird. But anyway, Martin, I'm really looking forward to talking to you on Thursday. So and it's been a great talking to you now. I wish we could carry on, but I've got to really
No,
run
no,
now.
no. And I don't want to
So,
keep your daughter must be really
I know
bored by
same, and
now.
she's like luckily she's got the iPad there, but I know that's not very good parenting, but I just had to do something to keep her busy. You can see she's really enjoying it because she doesn't usually get it.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Well, it's been great to meet you. I didn't
Yeah, you too, man.
expect to go on like that, but you touched a certain thing, so I just started talking about it.
No, it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Martin. Thank you so much. Wonderful
Brilliant,
meeting you.
brilliant. All right, I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Wonderful.
Yes, me too, man. Okay, enjoy the
And
rest of
you're
your day,
okay
mate.
for me to put this on YouTube?
Yes,
This
yes, of course. Go for it. I'd love it.